if you need a place, we have that place for a good price. You will be safe, clean, warm, won't be carried away by a pterodactyl, other various necessities.
Welcome into the Get Invested podcast, a podcast about all things real estate and real estate investing, brought to you by Capital Velocity Investments and a part of the Matthias Talks Investing Substack.
Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of the Get Invested podcast with your host, Jordan and Matthias. As always, we're very excited to be here to talk all things investing, real estate, and real estate investing. Today, we're going to stay very strictly in our real estate investing lane and going to talk about something we talk about a lot, although I don't think we've dedicated an episode to it since the very beginning. But we're going to discuss the value add business strategy that we employ. Let's kind of take a different approach to it because it can be something that sometimes, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say it's confusing, but it is a particular mode, if you will. And sometimes I think it's different than other business strategies that people kind of just know and are out there. So it's an interesting thing to discuss, I guess. At least to us.
Well, let's see. We'll check the numbers after it airs. Yeah. So this kind of came about when an investor had looked at a deal that we were buying and kind of made the comment that it's kind of ho-hum. It's not a beautiful property. It almost seems like it has a ceiling, which prompted a fun play on words that the property has a ceiling, obviously, because otherwise it wouldn't be certified to occupy. But anyway, which kind of brought up a point that's very true. Some properties are, I don't want to call them ugly, but some of them are just never going to be beautiful, show pictures of it on the front page of your website kind of properties, but it does not mean that they're not a great investment. And the reason is because the whole, if you take out anything else about a property, you just say, hey, here's a bar of where a property should be operating or could be operating in this market. And then you have a line of where it is operating. That's the value add. The difference there is the value add. So if we buy a property at the price where it's operating down here and we raise it up to that bar, we've created that value or added that value. That's the whole business plan. The whole point of our value add, specifically at Capital Velocity Investments, is that we don't need the appreciation bar. We don't need that bar to go up in order to make our numbers and make it a successful investment for us. We don't rely on that. So our whole point is that we're gonna buy at where it is, get it up to where it should be, and that's the value we're creating. We're going to operate it where it should be as efficiently as we can. And if the bar raises as appreciation happens, the value of it continues to grow over time due to economic factors of rising rents and all those things. Cool, that's a bonus, but that is not what drives our business plan. So in that conversation with the investor, we go, look, we get it. We've bought much more beautiful properties and operate them differently, but for this particular business strategy and this property, we've identified that it's down here and we're buying it down here and we're going to bring it up to right here. But yes, it doesn't matter where that ceiling's at. It's the difference between where we're getting it to where that ceiling is that makes all the difference in what builds the wealth for our investors.
Right. Yeah. In that conversation, of course, as you mentioned, there's lots of fun things to say with that expression.
Puns.
And I think I said, every property has a ceiling. And I didn't mean that in like a snarky way. Actually, I meant that as, well, technically, even the nicest, most resplendent luxury building has a certain, it has a top amount it can earn. It's just a matter of whether it's actually doing it or not.
Very much.
I think it's an interesting, when I have these kind of conversations or when we have these kind of conversations to talk about it later, there's just something, and I understand it, but there's something just intuitive, I think, for people that good properties that are worthwhile look nice, because that's when you go to buy something for you, you're not like, oh, let me go buy the really ugly house or the rundown one. Unless
a lot of people like to buy the ugly house and then turn it into
make
the
it better.
house.
Yeah. But there's just there's some connection there that people it's hard to get past. But of course,
aesthetic matters. I mean, and it's also true. I mean, so we've bought ugly properties before that have been cash flow monsters, but part of what we do when we buy them is we try to improve that curb appeal as much as we can.
Right.
Like you said, some of them, that bar is it's a pretty low bar to get them up to where as good as they're going to look. Right. But get them there, that's part of the process as well. So the looks do matter. Not trying to say the looks don't matter, but much more important for our investment strategy is for the financials to reflect that.
Right. And yeah, I don't want to make it seem like we just aren't interested in
Don't care.
beautifying, or how it looks, and because there's very much a difference between, oh, this property is just not well maintained, and oh, well, the architecture of these buildings is just never
the layout and just the exactly.
It was much more kind of just functionally built than thinking about this kind of. That doesn't mean that the insides aren't really nice. It's just this is never going to look.
It's never going to win any beauty pageants,
Yeah, from the road.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. So when we talk about value add, that's one of the reasons we have this podcast is to kind of actually think about the ways we talk about this with our investors. So this is one of the ones that's always interesting to me to try to discuss, talk about this in clear ways, right? Because I think they understand, it's not making as much as it could. But there's a lot that, I guess, I don't know, you tell me, goes into, there's different ways that's happening, right? Right. So that's part of the approach.
Yeah. So, I mean, the easiest and part of what we love and what we look for is one of the easiest and least expensive problems with the property, reasons that it's not performing the way it should or could, is operational. Is how is it being run? Who's making the decisions? How are they making those decisions? Are they making the right decisions and utilizing the right tools to operate the property? So, whenever there's an old owner who just doesn't care anymore and doesn't spend any time, not really technologically advanced, they run it themselves, or they hire their friend, another old person, to run it, and that kind of thing, which is very common, and it's satisfying to whatever their goals are. But we like to find those because I can fix that by installing my property management company, and that fixes a huge amount of the problems. Now, you also find that when you have owners like that, there's almost always deferred maintenance. Things have been going, tenants have been stagnant for a long time. So it's something about when you don't have rents up to market rents, tenants rarely move out. Tenants go, to live anywhere else is going to be way more expensive, and then I'd have to pay for a move, and then I'd have to put a deposit down, and I don't want to do any of that because this is pretty cheap right now. And so what happens is that we'll end up with tenants who have been there. I mean, depending on how long the current owner's been there, now there might be 10-year, 15-year tenants, and that just means that there's a whole lot of stuff in their apartment that hasn't been updated in forever. Now, sometimes the tenant takes it upon themselves and they'll update this, that, or the other thing, and that just sometimes it looks pretty zany in there. You'll have all sorts of random stuff that is nowhere else on the property, but that's part of it. That's just part. So they do go hand in hand, kind of the cosmetics and the operations in a way, but that is the biggest chunk of value that I can add and at the quickest rate, right? Installing professional property management within a matter of a month or two, where the new systems, the professional systems, mean that as we turn units, as we identify using our full market survey with all the available information and technology, we can set rents exactly where they're supposed to be for this particular type of unit. We can improve units to get more value. All these different things we can do. That's why I love to find that a management play is the easiest and cheapest to install, and it's not common. It's hard to find them, and there are a lot of work to buy them from those old owners, or let's call them unsophisticated owners. It's hard because lenders like to see the sophisticated paperwork from a sophisticated owner, and then you take all this nice, neat paperwork to them, and they go, "Yeah, perfect, we'll sign off on this." But if you're pulling it from unsophisticated systems, so back a napkin type stuff, it's a lot of work and effort on the buying side. But once you get it, the value is there instantly.
Yeah, I think there have been situations where system would be a generous word.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And it's one of those sticky points that makes this worthwhile, and this is why we could make money at it, because you can't just waltz in and do it. But one of those is, well, no, the reason we're buying this one and the reason it's a good investment and a good thing to buy bank is because they're not doing it right, and we will. But that means we can't just shoot you beautiful spreadsheets.
Exactly. It takes some work and some hustle on the front end to convert that into something the bank will accept,
right?
In order to cut you a check on it. Yeah.
And so I'm just kind of circling back to our whole kind of shtick here was the reach the ceiling. And, which makes me think of that Michael Jordan's thing that he said, the ceiling is the roof. He was talking, it was at the Dean Dome. And I don't even remember why he was on the court talking. Anyways, so the nonsensical Yogi Berra style wisdom of that, of that statement is that is you are operating at the highest you can, right? But it's not a limit. It's a limit, but it's not like, oh, we've hit and we can't go up. This is where it should be. There's a difference between we can go no further and no, this is where it should be. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, exactly. So there's a should be bar, and we want to get it up to the should be bar. Now, that is directly under our control, is getting it up to the should be bar.
Right.
What's outside of our control and how we hedge our bets a lot is the moving the bar. The should be bar goes up or down according to things outside our control. So, jobs in the market, population growth, all the metrics that we care about when we're evaluating a market. We hedge our bets by buying in markets where that bar is most likely to go up over time. There's always going to be hiccups and greater economic, if interest rates skyrocket, nobody can sell anything. So, things like that can happen outside our control. But all else being equal, we're going to buy in a place where the bar is going to gradually rise over time. And what that does is it's just an added hedge, right? So let's say that the bar, we can't quite hit the bar, but if the bar is moving up as we're getting closer to it, you can't operate a property perfectly. You can do it as efficiently as you possibly can. You're striving for the perfection, but you're never going to get there.
It's an asymptote. You're always going to be approaching. Never
exactly.
Yeah.
So the goal is to pick a bar that is more likely to go up than anything else, and then get well below the bar, get it up to that bar, as close to the bar as you can. That's the way I see it, if that makes sense to I know we're a lot of bar talk and we're not drinking today. So
is it, I guess, the high jump metaphor? What's it a metaphor for? It's got to be some kind of athletic bar. It's obviously not a bar you sit and drink at. I think that to distinguish this, because obviously you say, well, we buy something at this price and because it's making this much money. Because remember, all of these prices are driven by the income. So they're like, well, we buy at this price because it's making this much money. And then when we make this much more money, then the price goes up because of the income increasing. People are like, okay, sure, get that. That isn't that what everybody does? But in this instance, that's not actually true, because some people, it's an investment strategy. It's not ours. It's a different one, where you buy at the ceiling. You spend the money to buy a property that's already operating at the bar.
Yeah, that's a good segue, because there are other strategies that depend on the bar going up in order to make more money over time. Now, a lot of times, some people don't necessarily need to grow the investment or the value as much. They're looking for current cash flow, dependable cash flow. And so they'll buy at the bar and go, hey, we're going to operate it at this bar. We might have some efficiencies that we can do, but our whole point is that we want to be operating at the bar, and the closer you are to the bar, the less risk it is to your investment, right? It's a lower risk, so you're paying more because it's stabilized and operating efficiently, right? When you bought it. So people will buy for stabilized, dependable cash flow at lower risk. They will pay more for it. And then there's other people who will buy at that rate, and they're depending on appreciation. They're specifically targeting high growth, high demand areas that are most likely to appreciate over time, kind of like we do, but they're going to pay closer to that bar in a bigger city, in a bigger market. And their whole strategy is, hey man, Miami real estate's going to go up for the next foreseeable future, right? Like, I can't imagine a scenario that would cause it to start going down. So I'm going to buy at the bar, operate at the bar, knowing that over 10 years, that bar is going to move up, or assuming that bar is going to go up. That's my strategy. And people will do that strategy. We just feel here that I can't control what Miami does. You know what I mean? I can't control what any market does. In the short term, it's going to be hard to change things. But in the long term, we're long-term investors. I'd rather force the value that I can under my control and not rely on the bar per se for my returns. And that's why we go with this strategy.
Right. And so the distinction there that you made very clearly is that it's it's a standard practice, I guess is a way of saying it, or strategy to not bet, but to make a calculated risk, I guess, on a market getting better.
Mhm.
Like, oh, this is where demand will be going up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the only one. And then for us, that's phase 2, and like with, it's the icing, if you will, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the bonus. It's not part of the primary business plan. We hedge by buying in places that we think it's going to continue to go up over time. Meaning, if we can't quite fulfill all of the rest, hopefully that'll help us out. Or if we have to hold it longer, whatever. But yeah, it's not the primary strategy. I want to control as much of the primary strategy as I can.
And yeah, what I was thinking about is that obviously the market is involved in all of these, because of course there has to be a market and a demand for the value add to work too.
Yes, 100%.
It's there. It's not like, oh, we're completely independent from it. But the move is based on what the market already is, not what it might be later, I think is the big distinction there. Because yes, of course, if everyone leaves any of these areas, yeah, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Like, that's a problem everywhere, would be a problem everywhere. But our bet is on what we can do in the market as it is now. And others would be what it will be as where they make that money. When the market starts to appreciate, we've already made up that difference by bringing it to where the market was. So I guess I was just thinking, like, yes, the market is always involved. It's just in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, and actually we can kind of talk about, there is a ceiling for the property wherever that bar is. Most people would argue, and I agree, the ceiling for like a luxury apartment, those beautiful properties, that ceiling is higher, right? Because the most beautiful property in town is going to demand the highest rents, always, right? And as the demand increases and the market keeps growing and attracting more and more people, that rent is going to go up because the more and more people vying for like the nicest units in town, right? So yes, that is that bar grows fastest as the bars are growing, for each property, let's say. But that being said, I think that bar is the most susceptible to movement in general. So in the event of a market downturn, I think those rents are going to come down quicker than anywhere else, because you can always cut back from luxuries, which is again why we stay where we stay in the workforce housing and there'll always be somebody renting a nicer unit than our units. Those will always be available in our markets, and we want them to be, because we want, in the event of a downturn or a problem, as that bar, the overall bar is coming down, we want people to be able to move down into our units. That we want there to be added demand for our units during that time. Even if we lose some tenants out the bottom end of ours, they're going to downsize or go to a lesser unit, let's say. We want there always to be a tenant base above us that'll come down to us in those situations. My point is, we don't want to be the highest bar in the town or in the market. We want to be right around in here. And that this margin will stay the same, however we buy, but we also want there to be properties above ours, I guess.
Yes. I think that is the kind of missing piece of this conversation, is that the other part of the business strategy, I guess, is what we do want to own and what bar we want to be. Let's just say bar 1,000 more times, but
I agree. I don't know.
What level we want to be operating at is not actually the highest there is, like you just said, because I think you'd agree with the term, it's more stable, right, to be where we are.
Yeah, it doesn't fluctuate as much.
And that means that we can purchase properties that don't blow you away, but offer good, clean, safe housing to people who are looking for that.
Yeah, which is, there's always going to be demand for.
Right. And they don't particularly care that, for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they just don't care. Or maybe it's because in this moment in time, as by far not their priority, is not.
Yeah, that's a good point, because beautiful property, beautiful house, beautiful anything where anybody lives, that's a luxury, right? Like I need a safe, I need a clean, I need a functional place to live. I don't need a beautiful house to live in. I want it, but it is not what it is not, 1, 2, and 3 are those other things, not a beautiful property. So at the end of the day, if we can provide 1, 2, and 3 and do the best we can at the beautiful property, landscaping, whatever it is we could do, paint, good color scheme, all the things we can do to affect the property's aesthetic, we're gonna try to do. But at the end of the day, 1, 2, and 3 is safe, clean, functional
Right.
property.
Dry, warm. Yeah. Right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's funny you put it that way, that, something beautiful or nice is a luxury, because just think about the entire human history of living in dwellings, and how much of that time has been like, oh, this is not pretty, has been a
A
consideration.
cave, a
Exactly.
hut,
Wow,
a
not
mud
this
hut. Yeah,
cave. It's
we
nice and
we
dry
dug a
and warm
tunnel.
and safe. Nah, I don't like the outside. I don't like the outside.
Exactly. Well, there's wolves out there, and
Yeah.
bears or dinosaurs back then. I don't know. That would have been scary.
That didn't really cross over, but so it's interesting you point that out. That, I mean, it's great that we can get to a situation where we do consider, right, oh, how pretty it is, or how much we like it, or what
Mhm.
things it offers that are comforts or pleasing in one way or the other. But that's not, even for those of us who are looking at it in that way, that's not even 1, 2, and 3. We've already just moved past that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are
It's a
still
given
there.
that we will have to satisfy 1, 2, 3. Yeah, exactly.
So that being the goal of somewhere that, if you need a place, you're looking for a place, we have that place for a good price. You will be safe, clean, functional, warm, won't be carried away by a pterodactyl, other various necessities like that. And because you buy those that aren't operating at the max, or at the limit they could, at the level they could, then that's where the cash flow comes in. That's where the money comes in. And people are living there and paying rent, and therefore money is being made. We're not tricking these people into living there or something, right? They're choosing. They are walking in and be like, I want to live here. Here is money.
Yes, exactly. Which is set by the market, right? That's we can charge whatever rent the market sets. That's not up to us. That's people wanting to live there.
So I guess that kind of brings it full circle, right? Earlier I said, well, of course the market is part of it, right? But it's at the market that it is. And then if the market, if things get better, not better, there's more demand, prices go up, however you want to say that, that's icing on the cake, as it were. But it just reminds me of something that you said that has stuck with me, is that buildings don't appreciate, markets do. Right. So that's it. When you say we're not depending on appreciation for that margin, he's not really talking about the building so much as the market appreciating, so that the building's value also goes up. But that's not the main way that it is going to go up. It is going to go up because of the income it could already be making that it's not. So that gap there is the big one. So and that phrase sticks with me.
No, it's totally true. And I was having a conversation yesterday with an new investor, I'd say, and just talking about how the underwriting process goes. And I think part of how we, this is a sidebar, but it's just popped into my head. Basically,
Another bar.
Dang it, I can't stay away. I go, okay, where should these rents be today? When I'm evaluating a property, underwriting a property, gonna buy it or whatever. I go, okay, where should these rents be today? And then at no point in time do I really consider where they're going to be in a few years. Because in my underwriting, I go, how long do I think it'll take me to get rents to where they should be today? And I'll put that,
right,
almost always it's a 4-year plan, which I know I can beat almost always. So I guess I'm explaining how that doesn't even enter our calculation, is where will they be? I don't even give them a chance to enter some sort of rent growth situation until after year 4 on ownership of a property, which is demonstrating how we don't need, in order to make our returns, we don't need the market to appreciate. If the market appreciates, that means our target's going to move up as we go, which we expect to happen, right? We buy in markets where we expect them to appreciate, but our plans don't need them. Don't need it to get the projections that we present to investors. So that just popped in my head, saying that level, where should they be? And then I go, well, it's going to take a few years to get there, even though more than likely they're going to continue to move past where they should be today in the future.
Right. So I think this is a great way to bring it all together, because now that you said it, I'm thinking about our underwriting spreadsheets, if you will, I guess.
Process,
tables.
whatever.
Exactly. And you're right that on the page, we're just catching up to the market, right? Like 3 and 4 years out is not, oh, well, there's going to be 3% growth because it's just kind of typical inflation, appreciation of a market, et cetera, that kind of thing. That we're just catching up to where it should have been at day one. So we're like 3 years behind them. Not behind. I mean, that makes it sound bad, but we're behind.
No, exactly. That's the way it is, especially which means it removes, I don't need to predict where the market's going to be in 4 or 5 years. I just say, hey, let's work with what we got today. Try to get it to that point in 4 or 5 years and we'll be good.
Yeah.
And I have to buy at a big enough discount to make the money there. And that's the business plan.
That's a good way of putting it, that we're betting on what the market is right now. And our goal is to catch up to the market, not hope the market catches up to where we hope to be.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
All right. So to recap, there's ceilings on properties.
Hopefully.
There's bars everywhere.
There's bars. There's high bars, low bars, side bars.
But all right, well, we're going to wrap it up there. We appreciate you guys hanging out and listening to us as always. And of course, as always, if you want to reach out and get in touch with us, you've got all the ways that we're out there on any of these platforms you're listening to us. You can reach out to us or reach out to capitalvelocityinvestments.com as well. But for now, we're going to get out of here, and we hope you come back next time and hang out with us again on another edition of the Get Invested podcast.
See ya.